Steve calls in. Time to call Verizon back. Why so many of its workers are hanging up on the company. The Competitive Enterprise Institute's Vincent Vernuccio says it's because those union workers are hung up on how much money the company is making. Now, a lot of them, and we're going to have one of the strikers with us shortly, Vinny, is saying that the company isn't sharing the wealth. What do you make of that? They feel that they have to bear a lot more of the cost for health insurance, pension-related costs. This is something that Walmart has passed along to its workers, but it is a trend, and it's particularly a vocal response at Verizon. What do you make of it?
Well, Neil, let's get to that in a second. First, you gotta love the irony here, because it's not just about pay, it's also about work rules. And you have one of the leading tech companies with innovation and pushing technology forward, negotiating with a union that wants to keep a 1960s contract using work rules that are over half a century old, using, and you gotta love this, protest tactics from the 1960s. I mean, these guys, no wonder they're slipping. They just can't innovate.
Well, the company itself can innovate thanks to these workers, so I see your point. But I'm wondering whether this is part of a bigger issue. I know the Verizon workers are saying, look, Verizon's been making money hand over fist, and on that they're right. But the company is saying that the cost of these plans and the cost of the kind of coverage that they've been granting workers and any of those packages written in the 60s, 70s, and 80s don't make sense today. They will certainly not be the first company to say that. As they indicated, Walmart has said that. My own parent company, News Corp, has sent letters out to workers here acknowledging that. What makes this different, or is it the union factor? What?
Well, there's a couple things that make it different. Now, first of all, the union's comparing apples and oranges here. You know, yes, Verizon is profitable, but you know what's really profitable in Verizon is their non-union wireless service. The union is working on the hard wire, like the old telephones, rotary telephones, that service, and that is not doing so hot. So the unions are saying, hey, this company is great, this company is powerful, but what they're looking at is the part that's really not union that's making all the money.
Well, not all of Verizon Wireless is non-union.
Most of Verizon Wireless is non-union. The union is primarily in the heavily wired area.
So let me ask you this about the, I simply don't know if that's the case, but I'll take your word for it. I did want to ask you about the protest extending out to CEOs' homes. We've seen this with the Wall Street occupiers going to protest outside a lot of these bank CEO homes. Oddly enough, Jamie Dimon was among them, even though he's as limousine liberal as you get. Be that as it may, these Verizon workers did it this past summer when they were outside the Verizon CEO's home. It is an increasing sort of a protest move. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think it's absolutely deplorable. When you go and you protest in somebody's personal residence, I mean, despite the beef that you may have with them at work, personal property, your neighborhood, a residential, quiet neighborhood, that should be off limits. And I tell you, during that strike, there were a lot of nasty things that went on. Do you know the Associated Press documented over 70 pieces of sabotage, 70 separate incidences of sabotage during the first week of that strike? A lot of it had to do with sabotaging like 911 call centers, emergency call centers, things that could really have affected and jeopardized public safety. So that strike, besides just attacking the CEOs and the executives in their personal residences at home, there was a lot of nasty stuff that went on that we shouldn't really forget about.
All right, well, it's still nasty there. We'll see how it goes. But thank you very, very much in the meantime, Vinny.